So, with that being said, the first thing that I am gonna go ahead and cover, and this is what, like, kind of like I said, everything that, not everything, but the things and the concepts that matter when you are trying to take these exams. There are some question types. So, before I even start, let me just say that math is not and should not be the focus of your studying. If you are freaking out about math and you think that you're going to fail because of math, that is not something that's possible because this is not a math exam, right? You will see some questions that will test you, but I want you guys not to worry about this. You may see maybe two or three questions, sometimes four max. Math is not a huge deal, but you want these points, right? So we are going to cover it. So the first question that I wanted to cover with you guys is this one right here. So we're going to work through this together. Go ahead and use my tools here. So here's the question. So if there are 150,000 records and the HIM department receives 3,545 requests for records within a given period of time, what is the request rate? So in order to solve this problem, you are going to first off need to understand what they're asking you for, and they're asking us for the request rate. So this is going to be an equation. They have only given us two numbers. We know that there are 150,000 records total, and the HIM department has only received out of this, potential total number 3,545 requests. So in order to get your answer, what you would need to do is similar to elementary math, you have your numerator over your denominator, right? So your numerator is going to be the amount that you're working with, and you would then divide that by the total number that you have. So this is going to be simple math where we are going to, and let me change my cursor here if it lets me. It's not going to let me, that's fine. So we have 3,545, and we're actually going to make that our numerator, and we are going to divide that by the total number of records. And like I said before, the total number, I can change it. The total number of records we have is 15 sorry, 150,000. So this is the equation. I'm not in a classroom to use a board. Sorry, guys. But this is going to be what the equation will look like. So whenever you see a question like this where it's asking you for a rate of some sort, you're going to just take the number that is smaller and you're going to put that as your numerator and then put that bigger number, that total amount that they give you as your denominator. That is my tip that I have for you guys whenever you see any of these type of questions on your exam. So this is now then just simple math. Is there a calculator that's going to be offered on this exam? Yes, there is a calculator that will be provided to you on your exam. You can ask for a manual calculator or you'll have one on your computer screen. So this math can easily be typed into your computer. So, or your manual calculator. So when you multiply 3,545 by 150,000, you're going to get a number, right? And I'm going to just go ahead and do the math here fairly quickly so that it'll be super accurate. So when I put that number in, I get 1, 2, 3. I get 0.0236. So I get, let me use my mouse here, 0.0236. Now, as you can see, they're asking for a percentage. We got a decimal, right? So in order to convert this to a percentage, we need to now multiply this by 100. So when you multiply this number by 100, which I will do over here on my end, you will end up seeing on your calculator 2.36. we know about rounding up. So which number here would be the answer? The answer would and should be A, 2.4%. So that is the percentage out of 150,000 records, 2.4% of those records have actually, or requests have been received for these records. So that is the answer. That's what you would pick if you were there on test day. And that is the math to get that done. Okay, so that is number one. There's a lot of people in here, so I'm not gonna be able to stop and do a back and forth with everyone because there's a lot of questions and I want to get through them. So just, like I said, just watch this, take your notes. If you don't understand something afterwards, look online, check your books, etc., to get it done. But this is something that you can potentially see on your exam. Okay, documenting, calculating for rates. Okay. So here is our second question. This question here is very popular for anyone here that may want to take the RHIT exam. Okay, this is a popular one. You may or may not see it for your RHIA, but it's possible. So I'm just going to cover it anyway. All right. So here is our question. We have, and let me change here to get my highlighter here. Okay. So you have a HIM department that is currently using 2,540 linear filing inches to store records, plans to purchase a new open shelf filing unit. So this department currently has 2,545 linear filing inches to store records, and they are thinking of now buying a new shelf filing unit. So each of these shelves that they have in this new 6-shelf unit measure 36 linear filing inches. It is estimated that an additional 400 filing inches should be planned for to allow for 5-year expansion needs. How many new file shelving units should be purchased? That's a lot. That's a lot of information. So I don't want you guys to get confused. On test day, when you're seeing questions like this, take your time and break it down. It looks scary, but I promise you it's simple math, and we're going to go through it right now. So let's highlight things that matter. We understand that this is well, first off, what are we trying to figure out, right? We want to figure out, and this is the main question, how many new, keyword here, new file shelving units should be purchased? How many? All right. So we were also then given some background information. We know that they currently have 2,540 inches that is available to store records. We also were told that they want to add an additional 400 additional filing inches. And we're trying to figure out how many new filing shelving units, which means that our math needs to consider this additional 400 filing inches in the calculation. That you have to figure out, right? Some of these numbers may be based off of you forgetting to take 400 into consideration. All right, so we know that it is currently, and let me change my color here. It is currently 2,540 inches available, and they're looking to add an extra 400. So this is what? Simple math, right? I can just add 400 right here, and I now have what the actual available amount of inches that would be available for this new 5 years. So we're at 2,940. Okay. So this number is not going to be part of our final answer. It's just going to help us to figure out what we're going to be working with. So we are going to be working with 2,980. This is going to be our filing inches, okay? So we've used these numbers. Now let's break down this storage situation because that was confusing, right? So let's break this down together. So it's saying that, and this is the sentence here to kind of focus on right here. Each of the shelves, so I have a shelf. I'll just draw the shelf. And each of the shelves in a new 6-shelf unit measures 36 linear filing inches. So this is one unit, right? This is one unit. And well, actually, there are 6 units, and they have these 6 units actually end up being one, right? So when they describe this sentence, each of the shelves in a new 6-shelf unit measure 36 linear filing inches. This is really what they're saying. They have this storage unit, and there's six areas within that shelf or within this unit, and within each of these areas, this is 36 inches, this is 36 inches, and you get the point. It goes all the way down. So 6 areas, which is 6, and they each measure to be 36 inches. That's what this sentence is saying. Didn't seem that way, but that's what they're saying. Okay. So now I need to figure out how many new shelving units I should purchase. Well, in order to understand that, I need to understand and have a calculation here to understand how much shelving I have available, right? So in this 6 unit here, how many inches is that going to represent? To get this number, I'm going to have to multiply 36, which is how much it is for one little space right here. I'm going to multiply that by 6. Why did I do that? Because in every new 6-shelf unit, this is a six-shelf unit, there's 36 inches in each one. So I'm going to do the math. What's 36 times 6? I'm going to put it in my calculator, which you will have on test day. And that's going to give me 216. So now that, this is my units. For every unit, there's 216 inches. And how many inches total do we have? We just did that calculation, 2,940, if you remember from before. And now to figure out the question, how many new file shelving units will I need? This is one unit right here. So one unit is equal to 216 inches. How many units am I going to need, right? To figure that out, I'm just going to take the actual total number of units, 2,940, and I'm going to divide it by how much it is for one unit, right? 216. So by dividing 216 from 2,940, I'm going to figure out how many of these shelves needs to be purchased for my department. Okay, so when I do that math, that's going to give me 216, 13.61 is what I get in my calculator. All right, 13.61. So based off of that, is the answer going to be C or is it going to be D? Well, you need to have enough space, right, to carry all of, or to handle all of the, space that you need. So your final answer is going to be 14 because you can't get 13. If you get 13, then you are still going to need more space. That 0.61 needs to be, covered. So you have to buy 14 of these shelves to accommodate that 0.61. So that is the answer to this question. That is the math involved. It's very detailed, as you can see. You just have to break it down piece by piece. All right. So I'm going to move on here. All right. This is another question that's similar. I'm not going to cover it today because, as you can see, it takes a lot of time. But this is something that you guys can watch the video later or take a screenshot right now really quickly. This is another practice question that you guys can, test and see how well you do. It's testing file folders as well. Okay, so I will move on. This is going to be on YouTube. So if you missed the actual question, you'll be able to find it and screenshot it later. Okay, but let's go to our next question. We spoke about rates, and whenever you see a rate, like I mentioned before, the rule of thumb is to have a smaller number over a bigger number. But I also want you guys to be careful about not just throwing numbers in there. You want to read the question first to make sure that you're picking the right number for your numerator. So let's read this question. The total number of records filed during the month of, and the month is missing here, or just during the month, is 2,500. And upon completion of a filing accuracy study, 90 records were not found. So out of 2,500 records, there were 90 of them that were not found. They then want to know what is the accuracy rate for filing. So they don't care about the 90. They want to know what the rate is based off of the ones that were actually found. So how do we solve this problem? Do I put 90 over 250? No, that is not going to give you the accuracy rate, right? Because that's just wrong. You're actually going to be getting a number for the files that were not found, and they're asking for an accuracy rate, right? So that is incorrect. So what am I going to do to actually get this answer? What I'm going to do is I am going to, and I'm changing my pins here, sorry. I am going to first have to determine how many records do I have that were actually accurate. So there's math involved with that. So I'm going to take that 2,500, that's my starting point, and I'm going to need to deduct the number of records that were not found, because the total that I get will be the actual files or records that we have, and that will help me figure out my accuracy rate. So I'm going to subtract 2,500 from 90. And when you do that, you should get, and hopefully my math in my head is right, you should get 2,410. Okay, so this is gonna be my numerator, the 2,410, not the 90, but the 2,410. So you have to read this question and understand it to do this math. That's how they get you, right? You have to pay attention. So here is the number that I'm going to start with. That's my numerator. If you guys remember from earlier, this is my number that I have over the total amount, which we were given in the question, which is 2,500. So if I do this math, which I'll do on my calculator, and you can do if you're watching me right now, kind of follow along, what do I get? I end up getting 0.964, but these are in what percentages? So even though I got a decimal point, I need to multiply this by what? 100. And when I multiply that by 100, you will end up getting the answer D. So your answer should be D. D as in dog. That's what you should have got. Right? So that is our next one. And just to play devil's advocate here, if you were taking your exam and you did not think to do all of this, and you just put 90 over 2,500, the answer that you would have got was B, which is not the right answer, but they put that in there for those that may have done the math incorrectly. So if you don't focus and do it properly, you will still find an answer and you think you're right when you're not right. So read the questions carefully once again. Okay, so that is the answer, 96% right there. All right. All right. So for this question, I'm not going to cover it. This is something that's covered in my course. This is a very long concept to understand, and I don't have enough time to cover this. It'll probably take me 30 minutes just to cover this, to be honest with you. But just for the sake of you guys knowing, for those that are watching me, please look at this question, look in your textbook, and make sure that you understand CMS and how they deal with revenue cycle in terms of reimbursing physicians for insurance. So whenever you see these questions about Medicare, just remember that if someone is, if a physician is working with their patient and the patient has Medicare, the insurance company will pay 80% of the bill. Just remember that 80%. You can write that down, 80%. And then the patient would be responsible for 20%. And there's other stuff that goes along with that, but like I said, it's very long and very tedious. So, and there's a lot more that I want to show you guys. So I'm not going to do this one right now, but just, like I said, take a screenshot now or just, look into this, watch this video later and find this question and make sure that you can answer this question and all the other questions that are in here. Okay. All right, so the next one here, I actually made a YouTube video about it that has been very helpful. I'm very happy about it, about knowing how to calculate for case mix index. This question, I guarantee you will see. If you're taking your RHIA, you will see one question about this concept because it looks very complicated, but it's actually very easy. And I want you guys to get this point. So if you have not watched this video, or that video at that time, I'm going to quickly just show you what to do. So it's asking me in this question, based on the MSDRG report above, what is the case mix index for this facility? They give you the identifiers, they give you the weight, and they give you the number of patients that has each of these MSDRGs. So to solve this problem, what you're going to do, and I'm just going to use my pen here, you will, and I'm gonna make this quick because we have not a whole lot of time left, but you are going to multiply your relative weight. So A's relative weight is 1.234. So I'm gonna multiply that by the number of patients that I have. So I'm gonna multiply each of these across, okay? These are equal signs if you can't tell. But you'll multiply 5.118 by 16, 2.165 by 19, 3.122 by 10, and 1.234 by 12. When you multiply each of these, you're going to get an answer, and you're going to want to document that answer. All right. I don't have, let me try to, there's a lot of questions, but but you'll, get your answer, okay? Let me just quickly do it because I want to make sure it's clear. Let me quickly do this. 1.234 times 12. I get, let's see, I get 14.8. So this one is 14.8. Oh, that's a really bad 8. But she'll keep on going down. And when you get all your numbers, you'll get numbers for each of these, right? You're then going to add all of these numbers together. So every number that you got from these calculations, relative weight times number of patients, you are now going to add those totals together. Whatever number you get, you are then going to multiply your total by the number of patients. So the number of patients that I have here, 12 plus 10 plus 19 plus 16, I have 57 patients. So whatever your total is here for all of these different identifiers, you're now going to take that total and divide it by 57. When you do that, whatever number you get is your case mix index. Okay, so if you guys can see here, if you did all that math, the total that you would get is 1.69. So the total of all these all of these different ones here, when you add these all together, you will get 1.69.051. You divide it by the number of patients, which you saw how I did that, and then the case mix index will be 2.96. And you would have multiple choice, obviously, but whatever one is closest to this number would then, in fact, be your answer. You will get this, I guarantee you. So please make sure that you understand how to calculate for case mix index. It is that important. I guarantee it. Okay. All right, this next thing I wanted to cover, it's not direct math, but it's something that I want you guys to understand, the concept. I want you guys to understand the relationship with data to actual knowledge, right? So this question is asking and saying, organizations collect stats to increase their knowledge of a specific population. The knowledge does not come automatically. It is developed in the following sequence. And there's data, becomes facts, becomes information, becomes knowledge. Does data become information and then facts and then knowledge? Is it first facts, then data? So you have to be able to understand what the right sequence is from this question. This is covered in the textbook, in the stats section of your textbook. And so the answer that you should get is B, okay? So data, which is just the individual numbers, just a random number like 5, right? You'll then add more information to it. Maybe now it becomes 5 milliliters. That's now information, right? Someone can then take 5 milliliters, and then that can help turn into a fact that maybe 5 milliliters is required in order for your body to do X, Y, and Z. And then from there, that information can then be used for knowledge. Well, this person has this number, therefore they have this disease. So there's a pattern that, that people go through when they're dealing with data. So this is something that you guys need to understand. And if you didn't know that, please make sure that you understand this. Data becomes information, information to facts, facts to knowledge. Okay. All right, here's another one. I know I'm a little over. I'm going to speed this up here. So here's the next question. A small portion of the form you are using for a research study is reproduced below. This is an example of, and what we're looking at is, it says male or female, 1 and 2. So this is going to test your knowledge of knowing what ordinal data is, what nominal data is, what ranked data is, and what discrete data is. So if you don't know what these words mean, I highly recommend that you jot this down and that you are able to understand the differences between these terms. The correct answer to this question should be nominal. Yes, it's nominal. The reason why nominal data is data where there is no order, right? So males are not greater than females and females are not greater than males. There's no number to it. It's not a numerical thing. It's a categorical thing. So it is automatically nominal. Now, the difference between nominal and ordinal is when you have an ordinal thing, you're able to place it in a particular range. So I can be happy, very happy, extremely happy, and ecstatic, right? Those are things that you can measure a difference in, like a level. That would be ordinal, right? But for male and female, there's really no way to rate them, right? There's no order attached to it. So that is the reason why the answer is, for this question, C, nominal data. So my recommendation is to please find nominal, ordinal, and there's also interval and ratio. Make sure that you know these different data types and what they mean, because this is mathematical and could be tested if they choose to test this for you on your exam. Okay. All right. So for this question here, they are asking you to use this chart and to determine the median number of minutes for the physicians. Here are the minutes, and it's your job to find the median. So I learned this probably in third grade, to be honest with you. And if you don't remember to do this, you're going to arrange these numbers in order from the smallest to the largest. And then you're going to cross the numbers off on each side until you come to the middle. And whatever number's in the middle is your answer. If you have two numbers, you're going to add them together and then divide them by two. So this is all that this question is asking you to do. And when you put them in order and find the middle number is going to be the number 8. So the answer here was B. Okay. All right. So this question is just understanding graphs. This is visualization. There's a lot of graphs out there that I want you guys to be familiar with and you need to know for your exam. And so just knowing what this is a bar graph, but all the bars are sticking together. So what is that? This is actually a histogram. So it's asking you what this represents. And so the answer has to either be C or D. And then to know the right answer, from this point, you have to know the differences between continuous data and discrete data. So that's something that I will have you guys look up, right? During your own time, write that down and look up what is the difference between continuous data and discrete data. And once you figure that out, you will then be able to know the right answer, which was C here. So a histogram is used to display continuous data. There's also pie charts, bar graphs, scatter plots, Pareto charts. There's a lot of things. So if you don't know those different charts, you need to know them for your exam. We cover that in my course. Like I mentioned, we cover all these charts, but make sure that if you're not in my course, that you have an understanding about what each of these charts are about because they're testable. All right. And this is my last one. I will, let's see, I'm not going to go through this one because it's very lengthy and I'm over time here, but just know that you do have to be familiar with how to calculate how many full-time employees are needed for a particular responsibility. So imagine you're Mallory, you are the supervisor, and you need to figure out how many coders you need in order to handle coding 600 discharges per week. You know how long it takes to code for one record, and each coder works 40 hours a week. How many coders do you need? This is a real problem that you may have to figure out as a manager at a HIM, department. So they're asking you to do the math for that. And so please look at this, jot it down and figure out how to solve this because it will definitely be a potential testable concept for you. Okay, so that was all that I have for you guys today. I hope that was helpful. This will be posted on YouTube, like I mentioned. So if there was anything that you missed or that you wanted to, maybe look at longer, you'll be able to look at it, pause it, whatever you want to do on our YouTube channel. So that was all that I have for today for you guys. I hope that was helpful for the RHIA Rapid live, rapidly answering questions. And yeah, someone just entered and we're done, Kimberly. I'm so sorry. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. And yeah, just stay tuned. If you want to see more of this, let me know in the comment section of this video. And yeah, have a good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. So have an awesome weekend, everyone. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.